The season starts in an African sanctuary where the wildlife officers were trying to catch elephant Hanma. Suddenly Yujiro Hanma comes out of nowhere, beats elephant Hanma's ass and then disappears into thin air. Typical Yujiro stuff. Then we are shown Baki Hanma, who visits a 12-year-old kid named Ryumin to fight him. The only problem was he didn't even knew who the fuck this kid was. Then he spanks Ryumin's little ass and makes this random kid his friend. Pretty realistic. In my opinion, Baki should have sent this kid back to his home where his mother would be waiting for him because not everybody has a father like Yujiro. Later, Baki takes this kid to his house and starts fighting an imaginary mantis in front of this 12-year-old. This fight was so real that this kid could feel the heat of the imaginary mantis just like Speck could feel the protein in the air. During this fight, Baki gets hit by his own imagination and damages walls as his imaginary mantis smashes him into walls. But surprise, surprise, even these damaged walls were just part of Baki's imagination. Pretty realistic, but surprisingly enough, Baki won against his imaginary opponent. Then Baki realizes that he turned 18, and what do you do after turning 18? Yes, you guessed it right, you go to a prison, by of course kidnapping the president of the USA. I mean, we all know that kidnapping the president of a country and especially the USA is a child's play and a free ticket to the prison holiday package. Before going further, let's talk about this video's sponsor, Dragon City. Dragon City is a free-to-play mobile game that's available on iOS, Android, Windows and web browsers. You can collect hundreds of dragons of different elements and rarities and build your own dragon empire. If you are a dragon lover like me, you will surely love this dragon simulation game. To expand your city and new levels, you will need to collect food, gold and gems, after which you can breed 2 dragons to get new ones, hatch them and feed them to evolve. Now you might be thinking about how will I make these dragons strong? Good question. To make them more powerful, you have to train them and then take them into battles. Dragon City also hosts several exciting events every week and a brand new battle pass to discover where you can unlock new rewards and dragons daily. You can also find the dragons of your favorite YouTubers like Dream, George Not Found and many more. Click the link in the description and get a special free reward worth 15,000 food, 30,000 gold and the Scout Dragon. Now back to the video. Baki goes to Arizona State Prison where he meets Biscuit Oliva or Mr. Unchained. Mr. Oliva lives in the Arizona prison cell because it has 4,000 inmates. Obviously the very first thing Baki does after seeing Mr. Oliva, punch him in the face because he wanted to try his strength on Oliva after fighting with imaginary mantis. But Mr. Oliva doesn't move a bit and sends his ass back to the prison cell where one of his cellmates was Jay Guara, president of an island and the second strongest prisoner in the Arizona State Prison. After a few days, we see these 3 beta doyle punching bags called to finish Iron Michael's boxing career because they did not want any criminal punching bag to become a professional athlete. At night, they got to Iron Michael, surrounded him and beat him up. But when they were about to destroy Iron Michael's arms, Jay Guara came into the picture and saved Iron Michael. Then he pisses off all 3 officers. He literally pisses on one of them. And for some reason, one member just ran away instead of fighting just because Guara punched his teammate. Which is weird. Why would you run if your teammate gets punched? After this fight, Mr. Oliva reaches out to Jay Guara and talks to him because he had a fight with Jay Guara. After talking to Guara, Oliva goes to his girlfriend. I personally was very hyped to see his girlfriend because 1. It was a human girl with Coochie in Bakiverse, and 2. I would see a huge girl who could take on Mr. Oliva. And boy, I was right. For the first time, we see Mr. Oliva's PP training partner aka Maria, and she definitely crossed my expectations in every dimension and way possible, but their love for each other is one of the best things in the world. Finally, the day comes when Jay Guara has a fight with Mr. Oliva. The fight starts and let's just say it didn't go well for Jay Guara. Here are some clips.
How long has it been since I got to hit someone for real?
A dream.
burst out from beneath my skin. Crush everyone here, smash through the outer walls, destroy the entire complex, and expand all the way into the sky.
After this fight, Baki runs away from the prison, challenges Oliva and willingly returns to the prison. Mr. Oliva couldn't really take it and comes to Baki's cell where he completes his fantasy of pissing on Baki. But for some reason, Baki laughs at this act. Maybe he saw that Mr. Oliva didn't do his PP training. Baki continues laughing at Oliva. Oliva became really angry and planned to host a match between him and Baki after 2 weeks and broadcast it live to the whole world. Mr. Oliva goes to Baki to inform him about this upcoming fight, but Baki was like, nah, let's fight now. And then Oliva starts fighting Baki. This fight was just like a typical Baki fight where it was more of a YouTube reaction video on a fight where every minute other people were like, oh, I did not expect this. I have never seen anything like this before. During this fight, Mr. Oliva becomes a Pac-Man and eats Baki, but I don't think he was aware of the fact that Baki was a Hanma, a Japanese who did his PP training with a Japanese woman, so he could easily have a trillion joints in his body to not get affected by Oliva's bone crushing technique. And combining all of this with the power of imagination, I think Baki can achieve a liquid state as well, because his body on will can have more joints than water has bonds between its atoms. Later in the fight, Baki wanted to defeat Mr. Oliva by just using brute strength. But Iron Michael tells Baki that it was practically a suicide and he can never win against an opponent that is more than double his size with just brute strength.
For a middleweight like you, trying to trade punches with Oliver is practically suicide!
Yes, it may be practically a suicide, but Hanmakali it was possible. Finally, the fight ends and Baki defeats Mr. Oliva by just using brute strength. By pushing Oliva back, Baki completed the Hanma ritual of pushing America back. After this fight, Baki and Mr. Oliva had bruises on their face. That should tell you how ridiculously intensive this fight was. After this, Mr. Oliva declares that Baki is stronger than him and then frees him from prison, because that was the only way to still stay the strongest prisoner between the 4,000 inmates. Then we see Yujiro Hanma with his unpaid servant Captain Stridum walking near huge creatures. Captain Stridum keeps asking Yujiro if Baki could defeat these creatures. Initially, Yujiro answers his questions, but later he gets angry at Stridum and asks him to stop comparing his children. At the end of the season, we see Pickle as well, and I have this feeling that this upcoming part of the season will be the best in terms of animation. I have an Instagram and Twitter account as well, guys, so if you liked this content and want to see more content from me, like a sneak peek for the upcoming video, you can follow me on social media. I also have a Discord server where you can chat with other anime fans. That's it for the video, guys. I hope you guys liked the video. If you did, you can like the video and subscribe the channel. Also, don't forget to turn on the notifications bell and follow me on social media. The links are in the description below. Also, don't forget to download Dragon City by clicking the link in the description below and collect your special free reward worth 15,000 food, 30,000 gold and the Scout Dragon.